Hello there. Hello there. I don't know why I just became Irish. Is that Irish? Is that an awful racist stereotype? Hello to our listeners in Ireland and Northern Ireland. And hello to you. Merry Christmas from Beer Christianity. In accordance with tradition and prophecy, I'll tell you what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a Mimosa. I'm not sure if it's a traditional thing. I know that, if it's a South African listening to this, if you wanted to get in touch and tell me whether mimosas are semi-traditional for us and kind of like Christmas brunches and all that kind of stuff, or if my family had problems, either way, you can let me know. This mimosa I have made without orange juice, because I don't have any orange juice, and it is prosecco from last night, which is kind of flat. So I'm basically drinking wine in the morning, but it's Christmas, so that is fine. And I'm also doing your kind of traditional pottering around stuff. I am making tea because I'm not an animal. I don't just drink wine in the morning. I'm going to be doing roast later. It's just me and the missus today, although we have put ourselves on one of those lists that, the church has. I don't know if your church has this, of like, if there's any people who are alone and who don't have anybody to spend Christmas with, then, do you want to volunteer your house as a kind of open house that people can come to? And we were like, yeah, cool, because I always overcater anyway. But we haven't heard from them, so I think it's just going to be us, which is why I was like, well, cool, I'll record a podcast and say hello to you. So if you are actually spending Christmas alone, either by choice or because things just haven't panned out the way you wanted them to this year, then hey to you especially. And I hope this can keep you company for a little bit. And I hope you're having a nice day. Where I am in Oxfordshire, I'm looking out of some very dirty windows at a very sunny day. And it's very still, and all the wind and the rain and the freezingness of the last few days seems to have gone away, at least briefly. And the sky is a kind of powdery blue, which is also very nice. So I just wanted to say Merry Christmas. We can get into the reason for the season a little bit later. I got a message from Drabs, got a message from Lau-Lau, both of whom have covered some stuff that I didn't even ask them to. I just said to them, hey, what are your Christmas wishes for our listeners and the people who might be listening to this on Christmas Day? And what's your kind of Christmas message? Kind of like, the Queen, which was, interestingly, my nickname in prison. They get to give people a kind of Christmas State of the Nation type thing. So why don't we? I'm going to have a sip of tea with this mimosa with an asterisk. That's a weird combination. Wow. Also, you may be able to hear that I have a cold because I had a cold like 3 weeks ago, and I have a cold again because I think I may have harmed a unicorn or abused a leprechaun or anything else ending in corn with magical properties. So I'm sick for the second time in 3 weeks. I'm not bitter about it at all, obviously. And anyway, that's a whole bunch of rambling. Here is a piece from Drabs, who will remind us about the reason for the season, and also tell us, he mentions the word engineering, which I think is really important, and that's something that you want to keep in mind. But yeah, some lovely thoughts from Drabs here.
Hey there, it is Drabs, and I'm here to wish the listeners of Beer Christianity just a very, very happy Christmas. It's Christmas Eve right now. I'm sat here drinking a beer myself. Let me just take a deep sip of this right now. Excellent. That is a Green King IPA. For those of you who've drank much Green King IPA before, you'll know it's the very definition of mediocrity when it comes to old school ales. But never mind, because it's Christmas. So Jonty asked me just to offer a couple of thoughts about what Christmas means to me. So here we go. I want to read you just a few verses from Philippians 2. They never seem to read Philippians 2 in the carol concerts. I don't know why, because I don't know a more beautiful picture of the incarnation than this. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. Being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, and even death on a cross. And when I look at the Christmas story, and I've been at Christmas services today, and hear the account, the birth narratives of Jesus, that message of humility just coming through time and time again, the humbleness of the incarnation is just a wonderful thing to behold. And so that's what I'm reminded of at Christmas. I'm reminded of those verses from Philippians, but it also provides I guess a challenge for my own life. And you know what, Christmas sometimes brings out some great opportunities to practice humility. It's done about you guys, but just being around family, whether that's own family or inherited family, and that can sometimes bring out the worst in us, and it certainly provides plenty of opportunities to practice humility. And that's the kind of challenge I put to myself over these few days, is just practice being being humble and being gracious with those people around me. But I guess it's for the year ahead as well, and wanting to demonstrate that Christ-likeness in the year to come. And I started today, it's Christmas Eve, as I say, at the moment, and I started today by praying for you guys, for the listeners of Beer Christianity. I spent some time praying for you, and my prayer was this, that this year, this coming year, that you would know Christ more than you have known him before, and that you would be more Christ-like than you have been before, that you'd be more like Christ by this time next year than you are right now. And that was my prayer for you, as well as, of course, that you would have an awesome Christmas. And you know what? Audacious as it might be to think this, I guess I prayed a little bit as well that Beer Christianity might help you on that journey a little bit too. Our humble podcast, just drinking beer down the pub and chatting about faith, has become a really important thing for us. I hope it's become a useful thing for you too. And my prayer is that it would help you in that journey of knowing Christ more and being more like him. So if I have one request from you, one Christmas present, if you like, that you could offer us, the people behind Beer Christianity, would be this: could you just get in touch with us via Twitter or on review or direct message, or I think we have a Yahoo email address. I'm sure Jonty will tell you what that is. We've still not had any emails through on that, but just tell us how we can help you on that journey. What is it you like about Beer Christianity? What is it that's working for you? What is it that's not? What would you like to hear us talk about? Please, as a Christmas present to us, the people behind Beer Christianity, please just tell us what you'd like to hear in the year to come, because we want to engineer this podcast around you, our listeners. We want it to kind of scratch where you're itching. We want to know the topics you want to hear about. You want to know the stuff that's kind of working for you and what's not. So please get in touch and help us to be better at what we do, and be better at equipping you to live a life that honors Christ. And because that's actually what the kind of hope behind the podcast is about. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, we just want to make your commute a little bit more bearable, or wherever it is you listen to podcasts, whether that's running or washing up or whatever. We just want to make that a little bit more enjoyable, hopefully a little bit more humorous. But behind that as well, we want to grow together in terms of reflecting Christ more and being more like him, and that's what we're all about. So. Anyway, that's enough rambling. We're good at rambling on Beer Christianity, and that's too much from me tonight. It's Christmas Eve, and I want to say that I'm grateful for you. I'm praying for you, and I want to wish you a very, very happy Christmas. God bless you all. Thank you.
And now we have a special message from Lau-Lau, and actually from her friends in Crawley, which I am reliably informed is in London, but she suggests is not. I did think that Bristol was on the coast, so, I may not be the guy. But here's Lau-Lau and friends.
2, 1, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! What you just heard was the delightful sounds of me choking on a Magnum cider. As is a break from tradition, as I'm normally drinking a Jack and Coke, but I have today been drinking cider and mulled wine, for it is Christmas Eve. And what you have hopefully just heard previously, was a group of my friends saying Merry Christmas at our annual Christmas Eve drinks. That's what we do every year in our house. And as part of what Christmas means to me, it's, getting everyone together, all the family, all the friends, and just hanging out, catching up if you haven't spoken to each other for a year, because, that often happens with family and friends. Yeah. That is one of the most important things about Christmas for me, is just hanging out and having a nice time with my friends. It's a disappointingly secular answer, but there we are. Thank you to everyone so much who has been listening over the past few months. We have greatly appreciated it, and I am shocked and surprised that you're still here to listen to me dicking about on a podcast where I probably don't belong. I just bring the jokes and they're not that funny. And yeah, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a good 2020, and let us know on Twitter and on Facebook and on email what you want from us in 2020, because we will hopefully try our best to give it to you. And I'm not going to lie to you, I can't remember what our social media handles are, but I'm imagining the wondrous voice of editing Jonty is going to swoop in very, very soon and let you know what those are, because he is all-knowing and omnipotent. Wow, I'm going to sound great. I'm really not even drunk. I've had 2 ciders and a mulled wine. This is a nightmare. Anyway, Merry Christmas, and have a happy New Year.
Thanks, Lau-Lau, and thanks, Drabs, for your lovely thoughts. I myself am here once again in the kitchen in Mimosaville, Oxfordshire, UK. Currently still the EU. Hard times. Topical. Yeah, and I just wanted to say to everybody who has been listening, honestly, we had no idea anybody would actually listen to this beyond our very closest friends, and even then, let's be honest, probably one episode. Like when a friend hands you their book and says, "Hey, do you want to read this? I think it's really good." And you're like, "Yeah!" And that's not necessarily an accurate review that they've just given you. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. Like the guys say, we'd love to know what you would find interesting, what you'd find helpful, what you'd find amusing. If you have any of those thoughts, you can obviously get in touch in the usual way. Ooh, the guys don't know this. We had an email. To beerchristianity@yahoo.com. An email at a Yahoo email address. I'm pretty excited about that. And it wasn't even spam. It was, it was a dude who, if you're listening, dude, although it did not have the tone of somebody who had listened, who wanted to be on the podcast. So kind of putting himself forward as a guest. He has a talk on YouTube about Jesus or something, and he seems quite interesting. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but yeah, we may have him on as a guest. So if you have any ideas for guests, that's also fine. My Christmas oh, wait, where was I saying? I was supposed to be telling you how to get in touch. If you want to get in touch, Beerxianity on Twitter. You can use that email address. You can comment on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page as well, which we check occasionally. Yeah, just let us know, man. We want to do fun and interesting things and talk about stuff that you want to hear about. But also happy to just go on our own kind of path, and you can follow along with us if you like. That's kind of been how we've been doing it so far. So, yeah, for me, I wanted to tell you my Christmas stuff as well. So first, another sip of Mimosa asterisk. I want to say that Christmas, I get depressed almost every Christmas. Usually Christmas evening rather than Christmas Eve. And I have no idea why, except that it seems like New Year's Eve, which has a similar effect on me, to be one of those moments where you pause and take stock and see what you've achieved. Like those those little exercises you're supposed to do to motivate yourself that for some of us just become incredibly depressing about, I've achieved nothing, everything is worthless and meaningless, mostly me. Yeah, so I don't know, I find Christmas odd and hard. On the one hand, I have a lot of nostalgia about how wonderful my parents were to me to make it special and magical and beautiful, and I don't understand people who don't allow their kids to believe in Father Christmas, because it's magical, man. You got to read G.K. Chesterton and The Magic of Fairyland, and how important it is to read that stuff, how important it is to believe in the make-believe. It's not lying, it's fiction. Fiction's okay. Think of it as LARPing, if you like. Anyway, side note, I don't have kids, so I think I'm pretty qualified to tell you how to raise yours. Yeah, so Christmas is hard, I think, for a lot of people, because, I don't know, because you're expected to be jolly and you're expected to be happy. It's kind of like a birthday or a wedding. Everyone's kind of standing around looking at you, expecting that smile. And I think it's okay not to be, but I also think it's okay not to fall into the kind of Scroogey mindset of, well, it's all obviously bullshit, because I don't think it is. It's a really nice celebration. If you're a Christian, it's the birth of Jesus. It's not the time of year that he was born, obviously. That'd be crazy. We have to take the festival of Saturn and appropriate that, because nothing can stand before us. But also, like, the symbolism of that, of God being willing to stop being God for a bit, or maybe not stop being God, but stop having all the privilege of God, and step down into a world where he's going to have a human body that has to go to the toilet, that has aches, that will eventually be tortured to death. And he does that. He lives not as a king, but as a kind of poor laborer or semi-poor laborer. And he comes and he works within a religious tradition rather than standing outside it and throwing stones. But he changes it, and he makes it better, and he makes it more loving, and he makes it kinder. And then he's willing to sacrifice himself for the mistakes that we've made. I don't know. It just seems really cool. It just seems really inspiring. It's a religion that I definitely used to hate because of a whole bunch of the aspects that had been kind of affirmed and made the loudest by people in churches I'd been to. And I wanted to find God, but I didn't want to find this God. But, you know, if you're open to truth, you got to be open to the option you don't like being the right one. And, yeah, I think it is the right one. And the more I learn about it, the more I realize, A, I've been lied to about what this faith is about and what this God is about. And B, he really does want to help. He really does want to come down to our level. He really does want to understand the things that he's created and to be good to them. And he is. And, yeah, I don't know. This isn't a particularly preachy podcast usually, so I don't want to do that. But anyway, so there's that on that side. That makes Christmas pretty awesome because, hey, Emmanuel, God is with us. That's great. That's good news to the poor, you know? And the other part is, like, getting together with family, celebrating shiny things, fun stuff, magic for children, magic for adults, like, just a little bit of whimsy, just a little bit of time to go, like, you know, it's okay to actually smile and be happy and sing cheery, cheesy songs and wear stupid jumpers and, you know, do all of that sort of stuff. Eat lovely food, celebrate. I think maybe we in the West, in the secular or Protestant West, tend to think of every day as Christmas, particularly if you're wealthy or well-off or whatever. And we need to recapture what Lent means, for sure. But I think it's really cool that we can also recapture Christmas occasionally and go, there are times for celebrating, just because we want to have a time to celebrate. Because life is hard, eh? But sometimes it is a sunny day with powder blue skies and an excuse to give people gifts. And hey, that's always a good thing. So anyway, those are my thoughts. My Christmas wish for you is, I think, similar to Drabs and to Laura's, to say, I hope you do listen more to our stuff and enjoy it and do well, and that we do well for you, but also that that you can be closer to Jesus. I love that Drabs prayed that for you guys. And I'd ask it, if you're listening to our podcast generally, would you pray that for us? That we would become more like Jesus and closer to Jesus. Not just in our podcast stuff, but in all our, like, work lives, in our romantic lives, in our personal lives, in all the lives, all the atomized lives that we live. Anyway, I'm going to go off. I am going to make some food. I am going to eventually open some presents when my wife wakes up and celebrate Christmas right by making a podcast, watching some movies, drinking some more asterisk mimosas, and generally having a nice time. I hope you have a nice time today. Merry Christmas. You are loved. You're loved by more people than you know. You're loved by God, for sure. And he's not nothing to be loved by. So, yeah. Have a great day. I hope it's sunny in some way where you are. Bye.